What's up, everyone? Today we have a older Briggs carb. It's going to be a little bit different of a video than I usually do. The reason why I'm doing it is because I have been seeing a lot of questions on the internet, and I wanted to make a video to kind of help to resolve some of those questions about these carbs. And sorry about the noise in the background, but the school just got let out apparently. So, questions being, how do you rebuild it, or what kit is good for it? First one's easy. It's kit number 291691. Now, this should not be confused for this carb. This comes off of a much bigger Briggs. This came off an 8-horse Troy build, I think. See the difference? The kit will not be the same, obviously. So, what have I done so far? The intake is here. We don't really have to worry too much about that. So far, what I've done is I've opened the mail. I put this in the ultrasonic cleaner, and then go over what we get with our kit. Very first package is going to be, I believe, some set of gaskets. This particular carburetor, I believe, came off of a 1966, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. Yeah, I think that's it in there. So that looks like a bunch of packing material and the spring for the idle screw. In addition to that, we have that. I tell you, just can never get a second of quiet. Intake gasket. Actually seems a tad small. I don't know if it's pretty good right here though. It still is a tad small though. I don't think it'd be too bad to use it though. Whatever. We'll worry about that later. So now, what do we do? Well, let's figure this out. First things first, need a float. Now, I've washed this one, and in addition to that, I put it in the ultrasonic cleaner with it. If you don't have an ultrasonic cleaner, that's fine, but it'd be a lot easier if you do. But I just want to make sure that it floats. It does float. So far, we're good. So, I have a pin here, and in the instructions, it says, if your original float needle valve was like figure 1 or figure 2, use the new one like figure 2 and discard the old needle and spring. So, unless I'm blind, we did not get a spring, but I have the old one. Okay, Briggs, is it in the box? No, it's not in the box. Well, we're going to be using the old one. But we will be using a new needle. Now, something I can tell you is not here is a new seat. Something I did beforehand is after I cleaned it, I took a Q-tip attached to a drill. This one wasn't bad, but if yours is bad, you're going to want to get like the orange hand cleaner stuff. Put it on the tip of the Q-tip, clean it out real good, get some carb cleaner, clean it out real good, blow it out, rinse it out, make sure it's dry and clean until you can see the bottom. If you can see on this one, it's really, really clean. So we're taking our new needle and put it back onto our clip. We have the float pin. So now I'm going to put this back on like so. Maybe be easier upside down. There we go. We're gonna put it in. Insert joke here. Oh no, excuse me. We need to put our gasket on first. Now, if you look at this, it's a cork gasket, so be very careful. It looks like it go either way, but these two holes need to go right here, and you can tell because there is a little hole right there. And it wouldn't really even, I mean, it kind of fits like this, but it doesn't fit appropriately. And there's a hole right there to correspond with that passageway. So be very careful not to mess that up. Otherwise it will not vent correctly. And the needle falls off. Now some kits will give you instructions on the height of the float. That's a little hard, but in general, you're going to want to make sure it's level. It looks pretty level. Could be going a little bit more, but I'm okay with that. Too far down, you'll starve for fuel. Too far up, you won't. They'll flood and then potentially. I mean, that's just not a good idea. So next, what do we have? This little piece is going to fit in here. That doesn't come with the kit. So now I'm going to get the needle out. It does come with a new one, so that's good. Let's see what we'll have for the packing. You know what? I fubbed. This is the seat for the needle. I'm not gonna worry too much about it though. It seems to be working pretty good. How you test it, you're gonna blow on it like this. You shouldn't hear anything. You're gonna want to blow it pretty hard. Yet again, insert joke here. Seems to be pretty good. So let's chalk that one up to my bad. Next, with this piece in here, we're going to want to put this on. Like so. Now I'm gonna get the screws and just tighten them in. You just need to put, one on the opposite corners and tighten them evenly. You don't want to squish it though. Next, all those are tight. I'm gonna put down the main jet. That just goes in there. And with a small-ish screwdriver, just put it in there so it's nice and snug. If it's difficult, don't force it. If you cleaned it properly, it should be fine. But if you didn't, you could be just taking the grime off. Okay. Next I packed it, the silver or the brass O-ring, and then the gasket goes in like so. That's going to get tightened down. This also does not need to have like the power of Hulk behind it. And this is your adjustment. Push it all the way in, and then let's take it out like 1. So that's that. Next, we take our idle jet, and we put this in. So that's half and 1. That's really about it. Yeah, with the exception of just this, the idle, or the seat, it's the extent of it. That should float. I'm going to see about giving this back to the owner, and making sure it runs, but I don't see a reason why it wouldn't. But other than that, I think we should be pretty much set. So I want to go over a couple things real quick. Some common issues you're going to run into. This piece that was down the center does come with its own gasket. However, the gasket, you're just going to be putting 2 on there, so you don't have to worry. But you do have to worry about this tiny little hole. You need to make sure it's open, because that tiny little hole is going to go right there. And if it doesn't breathe, that means you're not going to have a, I believe that's an idle. Probably, yeah. So, something to keep in mind. In addition to that, something to also remember is when putting the packing in here, you don't want to use the wrong one. You want to use the big one, and then the brass. That's going to hold it in place. Next thing, this happens on all of them, but you don't want to crank this down so much where the point actually digs into the main jet. So the only thing that's going to happen is this: you're going to be hitting it, or you're going to be turning and pulling and cursing life and hating everything they do about this. Why do you even bother? This is stupid. I can't believe I wasted my time. Yada 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 yada. But what is actually happening is when you're pulling, that jet is actually completely jammed, and no fuel is getting in there because you put this in too tight to begin with. So you don't want to put it in too tight. So when you crank it down the first time, let's lower this a little bit. Only have like 1. Let's crank this down. You're filling the gap here. So now this can be moved a lot stiffer. I'll just say that. And when you actually are moving it, you can pull it out. Or when you're adjusting it, you're actually just adjusting the needle, because if you're not, if you pull this out all the way, you're going to see that your main jet came with it. So what's happening is when you're adjusting it, you're twisting both. Don't do that. So if you rebuilt this, you're having a really hard time because it's just not starting, don't crank it down too much. Completely take out this little adjustment needle. And now let's tighten it up again. So now we have half and one. That should be sealed. When we adjust the needle, we're actually adjusting a needle. We're not spinning the whole thing, and we're going to have fuel delivery. Shouldn't be a problem. The exception of, how to install it on your machine, that should be it. The only thing that I would say is don't forget that this kit does come with this seat, and when you install it, that goes with it. That's the gasket to make sure it's not leaking. Other than that, I usually set it to 1. That's a good starting point. Make sure your choke lever is nice and free. Make sure everything's clean, and you should be set. So hopefully that wasn't too convoluted, but these aren't too complicated, as you can tell, but there are some pitfalls. So I just want to highlight some of those. Yeah, that's nice. It should be set. Okay, if you like what you see, definitely keep on watching, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video. Put a thumbs up, that helps me a lot. I'll see you later. Bye.